Terri Sharpley Reynolds is an attorney, strategist, and advisor based in Montgomery, Alabama, with over 15 years of experience in government affairs and political campaigns. After graduating from the University of Alabama Law School, she began her career in politics, serving as political director for the Terry Sewell for U.S. Congress campaign, and later as district director for Congresswoman Sewell. Terry's career highlights include working as the district director for Congresswoman Sewell and serving as director of public affairs and legislative counsel for the Association of County Commissions of Alabama, where she helped shape state policy and guided public policy programs. She is now managing attorney at Levitate Legal and Consulting, LLC, providing legal compliance, strategic planning, and public policy expertise to clients across various sectors. Terri is the co-founder of Levi's Grace, Inc., a nonprofit supporting mothers facing pregnancy or newborn loss, and serves on the Alabama Charter School Commission and several nonprofit boards. She enjoys spending time with her husband, Vinny, and their 3 children, Xavier, Nova, and Savannah. Terri Sharpley Reynolds. Tell me a joke.
All right, Iva. Why did the cookie go to the doctor?
I don't know.
He was feeling kind of crummy. Bless his heart.
You and your jokes. Terri, first of all, I want to thank you for your friendship, for your professionalism. I have enjoyed working with you.
Likewise.
When we work together. Mm-hmm. And thank you for the role that you have played in my, I guess, evolution. And you look like that, but when you believe in me to do something, it stretches me.
Oh, I love that.
You know, and a lot of the things that I've worked with you in have stretched me in other directions and pushed me to do things like this podcast.
Wow.
And I know you very well professionally. I know you very well intimately and personally, but I don't know your story. I don't know, who your mama and them and what church did you go to, who the pastor, and were you in the band, and all those little things that made up the person that once I met, we just picked up the ball and ran from there. So tell me about you.
Wow. Well, first of all, Iva, let me just say you are easy to believe in. So to hear you say that I am honored, because when I work with you and I believe in you, I don't think twice about it. I just believe in you. I'm not trying to stretch you. There's nothing that I've ever asked of you or that we've ever partnered on that I did not 110% know, trust, and believe that you could do. So I'm honored to hear you say that. So thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you. Who am I? Look, I'm a little girl from Hartselle, Alabama, in North Alabama. I'm an only child. And so a lot of my upbringing was spent with grown folks because I was the only child, only grandchild on my dad's side in the city that I grew up in. And so I think, for me growing up, a lot of my time was spent reading and doing things on my own and exploring my imagination. And I do think a lot of that shaped me in a small town, growing up in a small town. I was one who really couldn't wait to kind of leave the small town and get to the next thing.
Uh-huh.
And so I went off to college at Memphis at Rose College and then to law school at Tuscaloosa. And a lot of folks who know me, and I'm gonna come back to my upbringing, what you talked about.
Okay.
But a lot of the people who know me from working in politics and in local government. When I finished law school, it was in '08. All right, so everybody was hot about President Obama.
Yeah.
Then candidate Obama, and so I went and did some work on his campaign. I got the campaign bug. Came and did some work on Deborah Bell Passor. She was the last Democrat to almost win statewide office. She ran for state Supreme Court. She lost by half a percentage point to Greg Shaw. That's the closest a Democrat has got to winning statewide office since then. That's nearing 20 years ago, over 15 years ago. But from there, went on to work with Congresswoman Sewell, then attorney Terri Sewell, who was running for Congress for the very first time. And that just really shaped my entrance and introduction to government. And I fell in love with government and how government works. I just saw her at an event and I was just sitting there and it took me back to those times and to see how much she's grown and what she's done and how she represents this district. And I got a little emotional thinking about how much I owe to people like her, people like Sheila Tyson, people like Greg Jones, people like Sonny Brasfield, Mary Pons, all these people who have just helped me kind of develop professionally. But when you talk about like who you are as a person, for me, in the last 5 years, a lot of things have started to make sense. Like I feel like I'm really starting to grasp who God created me to be and what he created me to do. And so I can go back and appreciate, those times as an only child. And I can see how those moments, sometimes kind of being a little lonely, how it shaped who I am today. I can see how it shaped the relationships that I have with my mom and my dad who passed away a few years ago. I can see the pride that I have in the town that I came from. I've got a huge family on my mother's side. My mom is one of 15 kids, and I can
Oh wow!
I got a lot of cousins, a whole lot of cousins.
Oh wow!
And so, but the pride in coming from a stock and a lineage of, all of these people who have just grown and made a life for themselves. My grandparents on my mother's side were sharecroppers, and all 15 of their kids are productive, good, solid folks. My cousins, all good, solid folks. And so it took me a while to just really appreciate and have that high level of pride. Like I come from some good stock that has been fertilized by all of these people that didn't really have to invest in me, and they did. And so I credit them to where I am today. But I'll share this. For me, in the last 5 years, I've gone through a lot in the last 5 years personally. You mentioned Levi's Grace in the intro, and that's a nonprofit that me and my dear friend started. Because I had a late-term pregnancy loss in 2019, 37 weeks and 5 days, and I lost my son, our third child, which was completely changed my life. 2 years later, actually 6 months later, my father was diagnosed with cancer. He died the following year. So in 2021, I lost my dad, and we were like this. Then 2 years after that, I was diagnosed with cancer. And so I went through radiation and, with young children. And so for me, in my life, it's taken me going through these things, these really tough things that God has allowed me to go through to appreciate, growing up in Hartselle, Alabama, and being kind of known as the smart kid. Like,
Now, let me interrupt. Terri Sharpley Reynolds is an attorney, strategist, and advisor based in Montgomery, Alabama, with over 15 years of experience in government affairs and political campaigns. After graduating from the University of Alabama Law School, she began her career in politics, serving as political director for the Terri for U.S. Congress campaign, and later as district director for Congresswoman Sewell. Terri's career highlights include working as the district director.
What I tell people is I thought, I believe in God, I love God, I pray, I do these things that you're supposed to do. But I didn't really have that relationship with God until we lost Levi. That was our son, because I was literally at rock bottom. I'm talking rock bottom. Didn't want to get out of bed. Had a great job. Called my boss, said, "Hey, I ain't coming back to work anymore." Rock bottom, and it forced me to really dig deep. I didn't have anything but my faith. And so that was really transformative for me. I'm not going to cry. But, I tell people Levi's life, even though he had that short amount of time with us, what a purpose. What a purpose to serve in your mother's life, to bring her to God in a real, tangible, unshakable way. And he absolutely did that for me. I take a lot of comfort in that, because I know in his short time, he served a purpose that some people search a whole lifetime for.
That's right.
So yeah, faith is critically important to me. It's the reason I was able to get through losing my dad. It's the reason that when I found out I had cancer, I was like, I got this.
Right.
It did not shake me. I was tired. I had a lot to juggle with the treatments, but I never had a moment where I was just like, oh my goodness. I just knew it was going to be okay.
Yeah.
And that's because of my faith. And my son brought me to where I am in my faith. So.
And let me ask you another question, and then I'll let you finish. I haven't had a good love story in a long time.
Yeah.
Tell me your love story, and either how he proposed or how you met, or we need a good love story.
Me and Vinny have a really good love story. I married my very best friend, and we met at a time where we were both ready. I didn't think I was going to get married, honestly. I thought, I always saw myself that if I got married, it would probably be around the age I am now, in my 40s, after I accomplished all the things I wanted to accomplish. I'm a very ambitious woman. Yes. So I had all these things I wanted to do, and they just don't get in my way. I'm just going to live my life. And when it's time to settle down, I'll settle down. Then I met Vinny. And so the first time Vinny and I met, it was we met at a Starbucks, in Montgomery. I was about a week away from leaving Montgomery. I was working at the Southern Poverty Law Center. I was about to come back to Birmingham.
Okay.
And Vinny works at Hyundai. He's an engineer at Hyundai. And so we're at the Starbucks, and we start talking or whatever, and we sit down, we're talking. And I'm thinking, he's kind of cute, we just chatting it up. The barista comes from behind the cabinet with the Montgomery Advertiser. Vinny on the front page of the Montgomery Advertiser at the food kitchen, serving the homeless in Montgomery, making plays. And she comes around, she's like, "Excuse me, sir, is this you on the front page of the Montgomery Advertiser?"
It was over.
I looked at him, I was like, how did you do that? Like, how did you make that happen? Did you slip a $20? How did you make that happen? And it was, we still laugh about it to this day. Our 10-year anniversary is next Friday. I'm pretty sure I'm going to bring that up on our anniversary. But we've been together ever since. And he proposed. This is another part of our love story and how we started our union together. He proposed on New Year's Eve of 2013. We went to New York City, and this should have been my giveaway. If I had been paying attention, I would have caught this. I was at my parents' house in Florence getting ready to go. I was excited. I had never been to New York City before. And my dad was real kind of cut and dry type of guy. He loved his daughter. I'm his only child, but he just wasn't a lovey-dovey type. He was straightforward, his military guy. Well, he says to me, well, I want to see the outfits you gonna wear. In hindsight, I'm like, you want to see the outfits I'm gonna wear, really?
Right.
But I said, okay, I'm excited, and I put on the outfit that I'm going to wear on New Year's Eve. And he's like, I like that. That's definitely what you need to wear on New Year's Eve. None of it connected. Well,
so you had it plugged in your mind. You need to wear that outfit.
Because my dad's like, yeah, that's the one. That's the one you need to wear. But I didn't connect. Like, why is he so interested in this? Didn't even cross my mind. Well, he knew Vinny was going to propose because Vinny had already asked him for my hand in marriage.
Yeah.
Didn't cross my mind until after the fact. And I was like, oh, okay, I see. But Vinny proposed at this restaurant in Brooklyn called Rosette, and it's closed now. But when we went in, there was no one there. There was one lady in the corner, just the two of us. And, we're on cloud nine. We've had this great trip. I go to the bathroom, and when I come back, there's a chair in the middle of the restaurant. And he's standing up, and he tells me to sit there, and he proposes. And the one person in the restaurant was actually a photographer, and so he had hired a photographer.
Oh, wow!
And it was really sweet. And the restaurant let him. They didn't open until like 7. They let him come in 30, 45 minutes early, so that's why no one was there. And then when they opened the restaurant, people were sending over champagne, and he made it a memorable experience. And so I would tell any lady or gentleman, I really do believe like how you start your marriage out, how you start out, how you can hold out. I think it's important to create those memories. And it doesn't have to be a trip to New York, but that how you start your lifelong commitment to your partner be something that gives you butterflies when you think about it. I mean, it was over 10 years ago, and it makes me smile just telling a story. I think that sets the tone for your relationship. And so that's it. That
is
my
so
guy.
Sweet.
That's my guy.
Now, your trajectory, let's just say, in the near past, we're at Levitate Legal. Tell us the story of it, and where you're going, where you're taking it.
So, Levitate Legal is really tied to my son, Levi. And the first 4 letters of Levitate is Levi. And that's very intentional, purposeful. After
I did not realize it till right now.
I
was wondering where Levitate
that's where it came from.
Okay.
It's twofold. It's definitely that, and the fact that what we do for our clients, we do try and levitate their vision, whatever they're currently doing. We hope that we can come in as an asset to help them elevate that. And so that it's that part. But for me, it really is about Levi. So after, as I mentioned, when I was pregnant with Levi, I told my boss I ain't coming back to work no more. So I had to figure something out to do. And so it started this firm, kind of not knowing what it would be, but having a vision in my mind. And, I had all this energy that I think was, just as a woman, was intended for my son that wasn't there. Okay. And so I poured it into Levitate. Took care of my other 2 children and gave them all the love they needed. But when I had that overflow of energy, I put it into Levitate. And, a lot of what we do, Iva, we work with local governments and nonprofits, mostly local governments, and we try to help them create the type of policies that they need to thrive and serve the citizens. We help them with what I call fund development strategies. So figuring out how to get funding for their important projects and programs, whether that's through federal and state grants, whether that's through getting money in a state budget, whether that's through revising some of their internal policies so that they can be more efficient, save staff time, which saves money. And so we do that comprehensive fund development strategy. We do a lot of nonprofit formations because that's critically important to local government's ability to serve. And then we like to look at ourselves as just general thought partners. You got a big idea, you don't know how to figure it out. Well, we may not know either, but if we all put our collective brain power behind it, we may be able to figure it out. So I want to give a shout out to Mayor Randall Woodfin and Mayor Stephen Reed in Birmingham and Montgomery, because they are both two of our early clients who really took a chance on us as a firm and believed in, what our vision was as a firm. And I know that they're two people who made a big commitment to helping women-owned business, minority-owned businesses levitate as both. And I think they would say that our work has paid dividends for them. I appreciate them giving us that opportunity, because now it's opened the door to other things. I know Randall Woodfin, Mayor Woodfin, was on your show and gave us a big shout out.
Sure did.
Which was incredible. Our phone has been ringing because he took, a minute of his time to talk about the work that we performed for him.
That's wonderful.
That's incredible.
And that's what it's all about.
That's what it's all about, supporting each other. And that's why I say, I believe in you. I would tell somebody to hire you to do anything in a heartbeat, because you've earned it.
I just think it was funny when we did the Family Day out there. I mean, Juneteenth.
Yeah.
I had never put on a festival or anything like that before, but it went over wonderfully.
And listen, you and I both know you did not have a lot of time, but
right.
you could not tell by looking at it.
Right.
So, of course, when I have the opportunity to sell or promote you, I'm going to do that. And that's what has been done for me, and I want to pay that forward. And so that's an important part of our model at Levitate. Our team can't do all the work, so we're always looking for partners to come in to help us, because if we can, take the folks who've invested in us and pay that forward by investing in another business or company, we want to do that. It's enough resources and money to be made for us to share. And I truly believe that when you invest in others, that comes back to you. So that's a big part of our model. But when you talk about where we want to go next, a lot of our work is in Alabama, but we're starting to get phone calls from outside of the state. So we're doing some things in the Midwest, doing some things in the Northeast, and that's really where I see us going. I believe in thinking big. We have Think Big in both of our offices. So yeah, I see us being an international firm, an international law firm and consulting firm. And we're just taking those steps day by day. It's a day by day journey.
Let me ask you, you offered a word that people use, and I don't think they quite understand all the time, and that is policy. Mm-hmm. What role does Levitate play in helping put policy in place for cities, governments, quasi-governments, people? We talk a lot about policy work these days, and I'd love for you to kind of expound on that.
Yeah, listen, it's really important, and I see a lot of complaints that citizens have, and they may complain to their city council or their mayor or their county commission. But what they don't realize is a lot of those things, the cities and the counties don't have control over. It's their state representatives that control what the city and county can and can't do. But prior to starting Levitate, I worked at the Association of County Commissions. We represent all 67 counties. And my role as legislative counsel was to write laws and amendments to laws to help counties function more efficiently. And so for me, that's when I really realized, man, all these bills that they're passing, and they're considering hundreds upon hundreds of bills, 50% of them impact what your city councils across the state can do, or what your county commissions across the state can do, whether they can collect funds which they can use to make our day-to-day lives easier. Sometimes they pass things, even when the state legislature passes a law requiring a city and county to do something, but they don't give them the money to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that impacts us,
Mm-hmm.
because that's resources that our cities and counties have to pull from one pot to fill this pot. And so the policy on the local level, particularly what happens at the legislature, is critically important. I think a lot of folks know who their state representative is. They know that they go to Montgomery. I don't think enough people know what actually goes on down there. They don't know that in a 4-month period, these elected officials are considering bills, hundreds of bills that impact us and how we live and our quality of life. Anything you can think of, from what your pharmacist can and can't do, or your dentist can and can't do, to the taxes that local governments can charge, to how our purchases on Amazon are processed, to what your schools can and can't do. And they're doing it at a rapid pace. And so I think it's really important for us to pay attention. And our job at Levitate is to really help our clients pay attention to those things and be prepared. If the legislature is going to do something that might hurt them, they have to be prepared to fight back. Mm-hmm. So we work in close partnership with lobbyists and governmental affairs folks. We're not the people who go down there and say, hey, representative, will you vote for or against this? We're the people that look at the policy that's coming down, and try and say, first of all, is this good for us or is it bad for us? If it's bad for us, how do we fix it? If it's good for us, how can we make it better for us?
Right.
That's our job. And one of the things I want to do at some point, Iva, and I hope you're going to help me learn how to do this and do it effectively, is be a place where citizens can come and understand what's happening at their city council meetings, at their county commission meetings, at the state house in particular, so that they can be more effective advocates for the community.